Welcome to this CV crash course where I'll give you tips and tricks. It's a really brief session for making CVs that companies would find interesting to read. I'm Gitte and I'm graduated from Dtu a long time ago. I'm a chemical engineer and now I am one of the Dtu Career Counselor at Dtu. So let's begin. The agenda for today is, first of all, I'll give you a short introduction, which I already started on. Then I will let you know some of the most common CV errors that regarding companies. And then I will introduce a term called the WYFT, which is the most important thing. And if you keep this in mind, you will be well away when you start sending out CVs. I'll come back to you what it means. And lastly, I will give you the CV recipe. But before we get started, I want you to think about that you have actually got the chance to get a fellow student to help you out with the data collections for your thesis. And you have now received 50 CVs. So could you imagine what would you actually do to pinpoint and pick the right 3 candidates for a job interview? So I'll just leave you now for 30 seconds to think about this. Think about which competences should this person have before you will find them interesting for a job interview. You can do it. I'm sure you can. It's very important, your thesis. So what kind of competences should this candidate have? Yeah, right. You probably thought about that the motivation and interest in your thesis is an important factor. But also that the person has the knowledge or experience with this specific data collection that the person is going to do for you. But also the personality and attitude towards you and the thesis will be very important things. It's just a way for the companies as well. They think about these 3 major things for the CV and when they have to invite people for job interview. Because what is actually the main purpose of a CV? It is to get in the right pile and be invited for a job interview. So it's about, are you getting in the yes pile or in the no pile? Of course, for this crash course, it's all about getting you in the yes pile. So I'll just guide you through some of the statistics or some of what companies actually say about what they like to have and what they prefer and how they do it. Every year, Balisair is making this recruitment analysis, and these are some of the results from 2017 and 2018. Did you know that actually 80% of them read the CV first? And if we're talking about large Danish companies, it's 9 out of 10. If they don't find the CV interesting, 49% of them will not even look at your CV. In general, they actually get around, in average, 50 people applying for each job. So if you don't have it in the CV, they flick on to the next one. 65% of the companies is turned off by standard documents. So you can't use the same CV every time. You have to match up with the company. They use 10 to 30 seconds just to browse through the CV. That's not very much. And they use 2 minutes actually reading the CV. 83% of the companies actually read the profile text. I haven't really introduced what the profile text is, but it's all about a short introduction before they actually read your CV. So they actually read this little profile text, and that's actually quite important. I'll come back to that. I promised you in the beginning that I will introduce some of the most common CV errors regarding the companies. The 6 more common CV errors. First of all, the CV lacks concrete examples. So for this lacking, make sure that you show where you actually gain the competences that they're asking for. You have gained a lot of experience and competences through projects and through courses, and maybe through your bachelor thesis if you're that far in your education now. So put in concrete examples, show where you actually gained the experience from. And remember the result and the outcome of your experience as well. What is the result and the outcome of your project or your course? Like, did you reduce something? Did you save money for the company? Did you actually maybe made an app or whatever? So what is actually the outcome of your course and your CV or your projects? That's really important. The CV layout is unmanageable. Unmanageable means that then you're talking about one thing, then you, for example, you talk about your education, then you talk about your experience, and then again you start talking about your education, maybe special courses you have done. So structure it well so it's easy for the company to figure it the way out. The time gaps are not explained. This might not be really an issue for a student like you, but if you've been out traveling sometimes, if you've been on maternity leave, maybe you did a different study program or whatever, make it obvious and then don't put too much into it. Especially HR is important to talk about time gaps. The CV is too long. Remember, they use 10 to 30 seconds to browse through it. So don't make too many pages. When they ask the company what would they like, they say between 1 and 3 pages. And we recommend from the Dtu Career Center 1 to 2 pages. Unless you've been out working for a number of years, it might end up being 3 pages, but 1 to 2 pages. Picture is missing or is unprofessional. Look as if you're going to work on the picture. Actually, 73% of the companies like a picture on the CV. The CV profile text is unclear, meaning that what's the point for us really that you're talking about this? You're talking about you've been doing one thing, but this job is about something completely different. What is the whole point? What you're trying to say? So that's important to make that clear as well. So these are the most common CV errors, and now I'll help you through so you don't make these things. So I promised you a very important firm, the WYFT. So what does that mean? It means what's in it for them. It might be a little bit strange to hear this, what's in it for them, but that's all what they are on about. It's wrong to say that they are not interested in you, but they're only interested about all the competences that they are interested in and that they need for the specific job. So really think about what's in it for them every time you put something in your CV. When you introduce your profile text or whatever, really think about what do they need? What is the task for the jobs? And so on. So what's in it for them? That's the most important thing. And if you get this, I guarantee you, you'll be well away and really well doing for CVs. When we have our yearly career week in the autumn, we actually had some companies out in 2018 talking about what is important regarding CV. And GN Store, they were saying, make sure to add a picture and a personal section to give you the CV a personal touch. So don't be too informal, make it like a personal touch. Because there will be a lot of people who is actually having the same background as you, been doing the same courses, but try and make it a personal section like in the introduction, the profile text. Converse says, choose a company that you share their purpose and are passionate about. For Microsoft, they say, your CV should include curricular projects like if you have made an app and we need somebody who is able to develop app, show that you've actually done it already. And for Rambøll, they say the value of our company is a very important part. Be sure to check the website and show that you match up not just with the job, but also with the company and the value of the job, the company. So these just to keep in mind, so what's in it for them? So these are some of the things that they pinpointed at the Dtu Career Week. So how to do this WIIFT? First of all, you have to analyze the job ad. If you don't know what they need and what they talk about for the skills and the jobs, then you might just pick some things, because we do that. We have our own filter. We go and look at the job ad and think, oh, great, I'm going to work with this, and maybe forget that it's not just this one task that I have. They ask actually for more. And then you make a CV because this is important for you, but this is all about what's in it for them. Then you have to think about, why does this job actually appeals to me? And I would like to remind you to do it straight away when you read the job ad, because you have a tendency to forget afterwards, because now you sort of know all about what they want. But really write down, when you read the job ad, think about, what is nice about this job? Why does this particular job appeals to me? So write that down, just to scribble a few notes down about that. Yeah. And how do your skills match their needs? What's in it for them? I'll come a little bit back to that. Fourth, how can you actually contribute to the task? And then target your CV specifically to this company. And remember to organize it well. Make it really easy for them. Serve yourself on a silver plate. I think, ooh, nice, I like to meet this person. And then remember fully contact information, including address as well. Companies would like to know if you live nearby. And especially for international students, it's got to be obvious that you already are in Denmark. Generally, if it's a student job, for sure. And then have a suitable picture. I will just introduce you how to analyze the job ad. I have just picked one particular one, and on the slide here you can see that I have highlighted with yellow. The ones I've highlighted with yellow is your technical skills, and then I always also highlighted something with green. That is your personal skills. And then I have underlined some of the things that they say in this job ad. Regarding the company, I underlined that with red. So I've taken some of the technical skills out, showing that they need somebody who is able to deal with PowerPoint presentation in this case, about SharePoint, agile planning, that you can support other people, and you can do the reporting. That's the technical skills, or some of the technical skills. And for the personal skills, they say you've got to have a personal drive. You can work independently, so starting and finishing task. You have a systematic approach, you're curious, and you have the networking skills. Just notice here that the amount of yellow highlighted issues is the same as the green. So when you're going to do your CV and together with your cover letter, it's important that you have this in mind, that these two things, both technical skills and personal skills, are just as important. Regarding the ones I underlined with the red, they say that you will influence decisions and handle tasks on your own. They say that people work for this company, they can realize their full potential. The company is a front runner in the green transformation. You can contribute to a world that runs on a green energy. And then you got to have 2 to 3 years left before graduating. The reason why they put this is because they want to keep you as long as possible. So that's usually quite an important issue. So here you actually now have in mind, what do they want? You know now what's in it for them. Here is the CV recipe. And if you put here in the corner, you can see the Dtu Career Notebook. And you can pick that up because it's at the Dtu Career Center. And if you go into page number 17, we actually put in what sort of paragraphs should be within the CV. That's quite important. And if you never made a CV before, you have an introduction on how to get started. What motivates me, how do I figure out what my skills are, and stuff like that. So use that. So profile, the profile text I put in, make them love you. So in that I mean sort of really pinpoint that what study program you have, for example, and that you have a couple of years left before graduating. And then tell them, for example, if you remember the previous slide, that you would really like to contribute to be a front runner in the green transformation, for example. And then let them know how you can contribute to the task, just briefly. This should be just a text, 4 to 6 lines, that's all. The next paragraph is about your education, and it's important that you structure it really well. It's important that you remember to put in not just all your courses, but the specific courses that they ask for. Previously, they were talking, in this particular job ad we had before, they were talking about PowerPoint and SharePoint, for example. So if you had done a lot of PowerPoint presentations already during your education, which you probably have for your exams, or maybe you had to make an introduction for stakeholders for the company that you cooperated with, then show that and structure it really well. But it's not enough just to tell what you've done. It's important also to let them know about your outcome for this. So think about the results of it, not necessarily the grade that you gained for the particular project or for your thesis, but what kind of outcome. Maybe you made an app, like I said previously. Tell them about maybe you did something that made it more efficient, optimized something or whatever. And it's the same thing with the work experience, the needed skills with examples. That's pretty important. Structure it well, think about the outcome, and specifically pinpoint what they are asking for, because that's what they're looking for. IT skills, they have required IT skills. Don't start because you think it's a good way of representing it for you. Think about what's in it for them. So what do they need? Think about the order you put it in. So if they ask about PowerPoint, you should mention PowerPoint in the beginning and SharePoint in the beginning, instead of waiting to put it somewhere further along the way. So what is most interesting for the company, put that first. And then you have to think about, is it important that they know everything about all my IT skills? That's very rarely. But so think about what is need to know about you and what is nice to know about you. Also talk about the level. Is it knowledge, or are you a super user, or do you just have experience or whatever? Let them know some sort of a level you have. Languages, you have to put in the required languages. Even though your native language is different from the languages that they are asking for, put the required languages first. For international students, if you are able to speak Danish yet, let them know that you're beginning or you're planning to take Danish courses, if that's something that they require. And lastly, you have to put a little bit about yourself. Show a bit of your personal self. Often companies are talking about that they need somebody who's a good team player, for example. And if you do any sports, in a team, football, handball, hockey, whatever, you can pinpoint some of the things here and show that maybe how you develop your team or whatever. It could be that you are very good on an instrument, that you've been working up for concerts or whatever. Maybe you do political work, or maybe you're interested in, for this case, like the green, maybe you go out do demonstrations, organizing groups of how to handle things in a better way, greener way. So put that in your private section. That's a good idea. So this is the CV recipe. If you need some CV examples, I can recommend you to look in Piling. And I will quickly say that there's not just one way of doing these things. And I don't say that the ones in Piling is the best that we ever seen. But here you get a general idea for how does a CV look like. And if you need a template, you also have the chance. The DTU Job Bank have a template that you can use. And if you're a member of IDA, they have a really nice template as well. if you find under the CV assistant. So here you can gain some interesting things. But why not ask your fellow students if you can have a look on his or her CV, get inspired, ask around. And now we're almost through. I'll just give you a few tips and tricks. So do yourself a great favor, and that is really important, because suddenly there will be a job ad that is appealing to you, or you think, now I have the time for a student job. So if you do this, reflect on your gained skills during your studies, and then put them all in your CV. And your CV might end up being 6 pages. It doesn't really matter. But just put in and write them down on a regular basis, because then you have everything written down. And when suddenly there is an opportunity for a student job, it might be a job ad, it might be somebody of your fellow students saying, I'm finishing my job, or we need an extra person, then you'll quickly be able to make a CV where you pick the things that is interesting for this particular company, and then you leave everything else out. And then there's some few things that you should know. That the Dtu Career Center, you can follow us on Instagram and on Facebook. In there, we actually put various events, and we put also job ads and competitions that companies do, and a lot of other things. So it's a good idea to follow us. On Inside, on the internet at DTU, you can read about our events, and we made little podcasts and stuff like that. So go in and visit us on Inside as well. And then another really important thing is the jobbank.dtu.dk. In here, I would recommend you to make a profile in there, because then the company can actually have the chance to headhunt you as well. You have the template. You also have the chance to actually chat with the companies, and sometimes they do actually virtual events in there, so you can get in contact with companies in that sort of way as well. So in JobBank, there is particularly student jobs, like for DTU students, but also when you graduate for the first 2 years, kind of. Now you know how to do a CV. And if you need some feedback from us, you're more than welcome to meet us in the Career Center. You find us in the corner of the DTU library. Just check the opening hours on Inside. Here you see me and my colleague Christy and our student assistant Nadja, who will help you out. Whether it's feedback on your CV, your cover letter, or you're going for a job interview, we would really like to help you. But it's a good idea to read through this first, and then the feedback will be so much more precisely for you. Otherwise, it will be general feedback you will get. Remember what's in it for them. So thank you so much. I wish you all the best of luck, and I'm sure you will do very well. The companies really need you. Thank you.